Morning guys and girls, nice early morning stream for you. Thought I'd give it a go just before I went live on the stream. There's quite a downpour of sleet, as you can see on the scope. I hope the scope's going through okay. Doesn't look like it. Tell you what, doesn't look like that's going through. Doesn't look like there's anything on the how very strange. Don't you love technology and bringing your live streams? There we'll have it. Nice early morning, 9:30. It's not early. Not early at all. Yeah, like I was saying just before I brought the other live stream, there's quite a downpour of sleet. I'll try to get the stream up and run before it stopped, just to show you the interference of a sleet hitting the antenna, or the static that's caused by it on the scope, but I couldn't quite get there in time for you guys. I'm going to try and put a few calls out, see what we can bring you. I'm just lost off at the moment, just trying to get myself together. And yeah, all good stuff. Yeah, live streams and technical issues, don't we just love it? There's a lot of a lot of guys out there that can relate to that. 20 meters looks to be relatively active. I don't know what it's going to be like when I come to put calls out. You know what it's like. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's poor, and bits and pieces in between. But there we go. Anyway, let's turn that. Oh, there we go. I've got audio. I know the audio's working okay, which is always a good thing. There's nothing worse than putting a stream out, chatting away, and no audio's going through. But it's the way it is. We'll see what we can do. Put a few calls out, and cheers to the guys that are joining. And say a quick hello on the comments. Give a shout, give your name, call sign, or just your name, location, whatever you want to do. If you want to say hi, say hi. Nobody's stopping you. Yeah, 20 meters looks okay. I don't really want to try and jump on anybody's toes on the band. We'll see what happens. Anyway, good morning, Paul. Mike 3 Delta Quebec. Please, you can join. Let's see if we get a couple of more people joining in. For you guys that are just joining and you want to know what the setup is here, nothing spectacular, just a basic set. Good morning, Royal Kemperman. Good of you to join. Pretty basic setup for what we can get here in the UK. Quite lucky with the antenna. This is a 2-element tri-band beam from J-Beam or yeah, I'm sure it's a J-Beam, two element tri-band from J-Beam. IC7300, good little radio, especially for the price. Now, you can't go wrong. There are other obviously sets out there, but I find this one relatively easy to operate, and it is, once you get your head around it, quite simple to remote the radio, operate the radio remote. It is quite straightforward. It does take a little bit of getting your head around the software, but once you've got everything set up, it is the most easiest radio to set up. Well, not yet a ham. I'm hoping I don't put you off too much. I hope I don't put you off wanting to try and go in for your foundation. It just gives you an insight of what radio is about, getting the contacts, the possibilities. That's about it. Getting onto the setup. The amplifier I'm using, a bit of an old girl, the Ameritron Alpha Lima 84. Runs on 4 vacuum tubes, or sweep tubes, as they were better known back in the day. They run 6 LQ6 valves in this amplifier. Now, I'm sure one or more of the valves are shot, running the linear reduced power, maximum of 200 watts, 250 watts output PEP. The amplifier is capable of a lot more. I think it's about 600 watts PEP on sideband and 400 watts on a constant carrier for CW. So I think you can pick those amplifiers up relatively cheap. However, the amplifiers are cheap, the valves ain't. They're far from it, and they are quite difficult to source the tubes. There may be a couple of you guys watching that can sort of put us in the right direction of the tubes. However, the majority of the sellers are over the pond, over in the States, so shipping and what have you is quite expensive. You're looking at about $90 ish per tube, so not the cheapest of amplifiers to replace the parts. Tuner, that again, bit of an old girl. The Yaesu Fox Charlie 902 manual tuner, allowing for the maximum power given for the 400 watts here in the UK for the full license. There is exceptions to the 400 watts. You can operate more, however there's a little bit more into it. So that's a setup. The feed line that is a good question. You always hear people talking about the setup and what radio equipment they're using. Now, when it comes to the coax, start off with what you can afford at the time. Sounds daft? No, it isn't. It's not daft at all. A lot of people start off with RG58. Nothing wrong with that. To get you up and running, get you on the air, it works, but there is obviously feeder loss. by the time the transmission power goes from the radio or the linear to the antenna, you do get feeder loss. But the coax I'm using for in between the radio, the linear and the tuner, and then from the tuner to the antenna, is 213. Was it 213 or 214? I think I had enough of the 214 for the feeder. I'm sure it's 214 that I'm using at the moment. That's for the beam. For the Hustler Mini 8, I think it is, which is, I think, about 30 meters of Mini 8. Get what you can afford. Something, like I say, you can pick up the RG58 relatively cheap, easy, flexible, thin. Do what you can to get you on the air, but always look at using a decent feeder. Everybody raves on about different feeders. It's entirely up to you. If it gets you on the air, it gets you on the air. Simple as that. It's radio is radio. You can make the hobby as cheap as you like, or you can make it as I'll put my teeth back in. You can make it as expensive as you like. You've got to start somewhere. Everybody's on a budget. Not everybody's fortunate to have a great deal of cash lying about, but not to say that you can't do it. Get what you want, get what you can afford at the time to get you up and running on the air. There's plenty of radios out there, plenty of transceivers, Shack in the Boxes, all sorts. It's all down to what you prefer. You'll have a lot of people out there telling you, oh, you should go for this radio, you should go for that radio, this is what you need, this is what you need. It's up to you. Listen to the advice people are giving you. By all means, listen to advice. Ask questions, fire away. That's what everybody expects from new hams. Ask questions. Everybody says, and I say quite a bit, there's a lot of people come into the hobby and they always say, this might sound like a silly question. There's no such thing as a silly question. Not at all. It's simple. A question is a question. If you don't know, ask. I used to do that quite a bit. I used to ask one of the lads at the local radio club. I think he personally, I thought I was getting on his nerves because I always asked him questions. But what you will find, if you ask the questions, you'll get the answers. The operator is, some of you guys out there that are watching, you may know them. Some of them, some of the local guys, some of the local lads say it's my father. Simple as that. He's your dad. He's just a good friend, good radio operator. G4 RNI. He's a good operator, full of knowledge when it comes to the radio. Can't go wrong with the information I got from him. He helped us through quite a bit with the radio, put us at ease with radio, helped us through a great deal. So owe him quite a bit of thanks to getting us into the hobby, into the amateur side of it. The one thing he always said was, that he saw when I went to the local radio club was I was willing. I always showed willing to learn about the hobby, retain the information that was presented, ask questions. Like I say, I always thought I was sort of badgered him for information, but he was always there. He was always on hand to help me out throughout the hobby. So yeah, that he's a great great operator. Like I say, full of knowledge. When it comes to aerials, he helped me no end with aerials. Helped us understand the basic fundamentals of antennas of aerials. Can't go wrong with it. If you've got questions in somebody local to you, ask them questions. Don't hesitate. Even go on the radio. You'll have a lot of people on the radio that are quick to jump on your back when you make a mistake. But at the same time, those people that are quick to jump on your back are quick to answer your questions. So just bear that in mind. You might think that they're jumping on your back, and some people call them the band police. Then really, they're not. They're there to try and guide you through the hobby, explain to you that you've made a mistake. Some people may interpret it as, look, I don't want to know. It's a way people interpret help. Some people don't like to be told that they've made a mistake. Some people take it on the chin, and some people thrive on being told that they've done something wrong, which is fair enough. Everybody, each to their own. So I was just going to get on the radio and sort of operate, but I thought, yeah, why? I might as well do something different, and sort of, I don't know, definitely something different. Morning, Jed. Mike 3 uniform Bravo Bravo from the Orkney Islands, and Phil, good morning. Yeah, you're right. For aerials, take a look at some people's QRZs. You're right. Everybody that's come into the hobby, the first thing anybody wants to do is get on and operate the radio. But the people do tend to forget about that big thing outside, or the length of wire. Aerial is realistically the most important part of getting the signal out there. But at the same time, you've got to understand the basics of the aerial structure, height, length of the antenna. Everything comes into it. People say, "Oh, you don't need maths, you don't need formulas." By crikey, you do. You do need them, and it comes into its own. After you've been operating and you've been building your own aerials, beams, dipoles, end-fed wires, ballons, unends, build them yourself. Parts are easy to come by. You just got to sort of look and ask the questions. Surely, if you go to a local radio shop, or if you're not sure of where the local radio shop is, ask the guys on the air. Ask them if they can send you an email with information of where the known local radio shops are. The guys at the radio shops are more than happy to help you. More than happy. Some places are great for information. There's the odd one that's not, but it's all down to experience at the end of the day, and the only way you're going to get the experience is get your hands dirty. As I say, get your hands dirty, start building, start experimenting. That's what the hobby's all about. Experiment with different things. When I first started in the hobby, it was a case of I didn't want to get on the air straight away. Might sound daft. I didn't. I was quite shy, quite mic shy. There's a couple of people out there know that I was quite shy. It's only been the last year and a bit where I've really started coming out my shell. This here, bringing you guys this has really brought us out my shell, to be honest. I didn't think I'd be able to do it. I didn't think I'd be able to maintain it, to be honest. Bringing you guys something different. It can be challenging, but I really didn't want to get on the radio. All I wanted to do was build aerials. However, I never had an antenna analyzer. Now, when you're building aerials, a lot of people say the biggest bit of the kit when building aerials is the antenna analyzer. It is. I done it the hard way. I always learnt the hard way. But experience, that's what it boils down to. I always built the aerial, brilliant. But at the time I didn't have the analyzer, so it was all on what I could hear when I was building the aerial, hooking the aerial up to the radio and listening to the radio, listen for the signals. I actually found that the background noise, once you started getting that increase in background noise, the aerial was reaching the what's it called? It was almost tuned for that band, so I could do that by ear rather than an analyzer. It wasn't until a couple of years after, George came up and he says, "We'll check out the aerials, see what it's like." Yeah, you're right, Phil. Get to know your local hams. A lot of the experienced ones will help. You're right, which is what I was coming to. The analyzer, you put the analyzer on the antenna, and he asked how I managed to tune it the way I did. I explained to him, and the way I explained to him was the same way he used to do it before he got the analyzer. So anyway, plugged the analyzer in. Sure enough, I was well within the band. I was actually on 20 meters. I think the SWR curve was about 14.175, which is pretty damn good when you're tuning in an aerial without an analyzer, by ear and through a radio. So getting it tuned was pretty damn close. So got the analyzer. I did purchase an analyzer anyway later on. I think it's only been about 2 or 3 years I've had the analyzer, and I've used it a couple of times. It's there just for sure, but it's there if I need it. But it is a bit of kit when you're building aerials. It makes life a hell of a lot easier when you're building aerials. But for knowledge, if you want knowledge, don't hesitate to ask anybody, any ham operator, questions. You'll probably get the odd one that you'll walk up to and you go, "Can I ask you questions?" No, I can't. There's the odd one that's too how can I put it, proud of his own achievements, doesn't want to share them. There's the odd one, but you don't come across them too often. So I think 99.5% of radio operators are more than happy to help within the community. Even when it comes to putting aerials up, there's always, if you can't physically put an aerial up yourself, whether it be out on a mast or putting the brackets on the side of the building for the aerial to go on for mounting, there's always somebody there that will help, that will offer to help, just to get you on the air. But it is a brilliant hobby. I've got a lot of thanks for a lot of appreciation for a lot of the hams locally. I do go to a number of local clubs in the area. At one time I always went to one, and I thought I've got to sort of, everybody heard my voice on the air, and I wanted to get to know the local operators, know them face to face rather than meeting them at local rallies, which is it is a great place to ask people questions, and it's a great place to see and put faces to the voice, and you do get to have a good laugh with them at the same time. So that's the setup. It's just a bit of an introduction for guys that are watching that want to get into the hobby. Work within your budget when it comes to radios. Don't stretch yourself out too much. It isn't worth it at the end of the day. Take your time. Getting all the equipment that some of us have at the moment takes time. It does take a lot of time to get where some operators are. I can understand and I appreciate there's a lot of the older hams out there that have got you'll see on the QRZ page, they've got loads of radios, loads of equipment. It's not something that they've gotten overnight. Most of them have worked for it. Most of them have been offered the equipment, but at the same time, it is a great hobby, communication wise. So I'm hoping this stream has been a bit of a different one for you guys, as opposed to me just starting the stream, jumping straight in onto the radio, putting the calls out. So if there's anything anybody wants to know with regards to the equipment that I'm using, how I've got things set up, please just ask away. I don't mind. I'll answer the question the best I can. But this is for me. The whole hobby has brought me out of my shell. Like I say, I never wanted to speak. Always wanted to sit back, have the equipment, and enjoy what I've got in front of us. It has taken a lot to start getting into the hobby as much as I have, but it's taken a lot for the older hams to bring me out my shell when it comes to the radio. So thanks to the local lads for sort of nurturing us through the hobby. I've got loads of thanks for you guys. Far too many to mention, but you guys know exactly who yous are, and Thank you. Yeah, Jed, cheers. Like I say, I do hope it's been a help. When it comes to radio equipment, you will find a lot of people have preferences to what equipment's best. You've got the Yaesu guys, you've got the Kenwood guys, you've got the ICOM guys. I'm not too particular on what equipment I use. I've got an ICOM 7300, but at the same time I started off with the Yaesu Fox Tango, the FT 450D. Started off with one of those. It's what you enjoy. It's radio. At the end of the day, 99% of the radios were HF radios or 100 watts. Sorry, 100 watts output. Now, each radio is 100 watts. Just take that in mind. Every radio puts out the same 100 watts. So, yeah, you've got various filters in different radios, various features. Get what you want. Do your research on the radio that you've got your eye on or got in mind. Do your research. Like I say, I started with a 450D. I was flipping a coin between the 450D and the IC7300 at the time. So I flipped a coin and started off with the 450D. Brilliant little radio, quite sturdy and never failed. I wanted the 7300, put away, saved up, got the 7300. Primarily for the display and the interface. Yet I had all the interface for this 450D, so everything was set up for that. Each radio's got its own little characteristics. Like I say, I've got that. I've got the 857 there as well, which is shock in the box. HF 270. HF 2 meters and 70 cms. Great little radio. Doesn't have a tuner. Perfect for me when I go portable. Easy to carry. It depends what you want to do with the radio. Depends what you want to do within the hobby. I've got the interface for for the 857. As you can imagine, I do like to have the radios connected to the PC or the laptop. Easy to operate. It all depends what you want out of the hobby. I'll correct that. It's all about what you want out of the transceiver. And what if you're going to work remote, there's not just the 7300 that you can work remote. As you see by plenty of the other guys out there on the streams. We'll use Ray W2RE as an example. He had I think it was the what's it called? Yeah, he's just upgraded anyway. K3s. Work them remote. Yet he's, like I say, he's just upgraded all the radios. I think he's gone for this. I know he's went with a Flex. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's a 6600s to work remote. But it's what he wanted from a radio. There's a lot more capability with those radios than with the 7300. If you're going to work a station primarily as a remote station, you don't need the front, you don't need the dials on the front of the radio, you don't need the display on the radio. Everything's done on the computer, which is perfect, because a radio can be stored in a cupboard, it can be stored out of sight. You don't have to worry about it. I like to see what's in front of us. I like to see the display. I like to have the dials as well. There's a couple of guys out there trying to coax me into the Flex radio world. Ray, I'm going to dub you in it here. G0VLF. He's trying to coax me into the Flex radio world, as it were. He does try. we'll use that. He tries to coax us into the Flex radio world, but I like to see the display. There is Flex radios out there that does have the display, but I'm not too sure about them yet. I've seen them in action. I've seen the display. I've seen the interface. It's a great setup. But I like to be able to see the front of the radio and operate on the display on the computer as well. But it's not to say that I'm going to dismiss that radio. It's a lot of money to throw into the radio. The most expensive part of the hobby, two things that are quite expensive if you go down the commercial route, is the aerial and the linear. The amplifiers, or the amplifiers and the aerials, if you're looking for a decent aerial, decent beam or hex beam, whatever, they are the most important things to look for and the most expensive. But like I say, you can make your own beam up. You make your own monoband 2-element or 3-element beam. I know I've done it. I have made a 2-element beam up. I've made a 3-element short boom monoband for 20 meters. It worked extremely well, believe it or not, but it's all about the experience. I was going to go on the air, but it's turned into a bit of a chat as opposed to getting on the air. But I don't mind. Something different for you. Radio, amateur radio isn't just about operating the radio. I'm just listening to the radio in the background there as well. There is a lot more to it than just radio. Do the research. If you want to get into the hobby, do the research on the radios. Do the research on the antennas. That's the most important thing. If you're not too sure and you don't really trust reviews, watch the guys on YouTube. There's a lot of guys out there that do reviews on radios. Brilliant idea, but at the same time, the reviews on the radios are sometimes under test conditions. It's not necessarily on-air tests, so just bear that in mind when you do your research. But it's all down to you, what you want from the hobby, from your radio equipment that you want to purchase. But take your time, don't rush into anything. And enjoy what you purchase. So what else could I bring you? Where did I start in the hobby? how did I get into the radio? Like everybody else, or the majority of people, started off, and you will get a couple of the older guys turn their nose up or frown at it. I started off on CB. Even back then, I wasn't a great talker on the CB. I was more of a listener. So when I did get to know a few people on the CB, I think got into the CBs about 92, 93. And then from there, it just sort of, I stuck there until the past 5 or 6 years. That's when I started getting into amateur radio and understanding what amateur radio was. 90% of the lads start off on CB. Get a lot of people asking if the CB's still active or if it's dead. It's only dead at the moment because nobody's using it, because there's not a great deal of activity in the local area. You see a lot of the young lads driving around with the CBs in the car. Then they progress. You get a few people coming from the CB in amateur radio, get the license, and then go back to CB. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. That's entirely up to them. But one thing that does become apparent when you do that is sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, amateur radio equipment is used on CB. So you get a few guys paying all that money for expensive equipment and get the radio modified to operate on CB, citizen band radio, citizen band frequencies, 27555. It's one of those sort of easy to use, but I think since I've become licensed, I don't think being on the CB, I think I've used the CB twice. I do actually have a Midland 48XL. So I've got one of those. It's in the cupboard. Very rarely comes out for operation. It's there just in case I do go out, or if one of the lads actually borrows it when they go out in the 4x4. He doesn't own a radio, but I've got mine here if he requires it. So I do like to help people where I can and if I can when it comes to getting on the radio. What was your handle? I never actually had a handle, Ray. Never had one. I always ended up with my name. It was just my name. Everybody knew us on the radio, so never had a handle, which is a bit of a shame to a few guys. But from there, I've always operated the amateur radio bands. Stuck to it. Stuck to my license and conditions. Foundation, intermediate, and obviously now the full license. But I do particularly like it's radio. Operating the radio from home is fun. I enjoy it, but at the same time, there is a couple of activities that a few of the clubs do, and I do enjoy getting out into the field for the special events. They are really, really good. Let's see what What's that, Phil? Help, my handle was Old Mountain Man. Loved it. That led to ham radio. It does, operating CB, it does lead to the increase in wanting to progress. You progress from CB to HF, to amateur radio. It's a great. People say it sounds sort of corny. It's a transition from. You sort of, how can I sort of put it? You grow up. If that makes sense, you sort of grow up. But some people don't. They get the license, then drop it back down into the CB. But at least they've got the license to operate elsewhere other than CB. Cheers, Ray. I'll just wait until I see you next. The beer guzzler. Cheers. Yeah, I do like my beer. I do like it. Do enjoy it. Real ales, to be honest, if it's alcohol, I like to drink it. But I don't go too mad on it. I just sort of enjoy the beer. So yeah. Should I get on the air? Do you think I should try getting on the air? Because it looks like 20 meters is quite active. Or should I just keep going or start another stream? I don't know. Yeah, I think I might just leave it there. Like I say, everybody's got to start somewhere in the hobby, regardless of your background. It doesn't matter what you do for a job. At the end of the day, if you've go home, pay your bills, and then operate the radio. Pay your bills, get the radio equipment. It's a waste of time. Waste of time. Making yourself short financially. It's a waste of time. Get what you can afford. That's the biggest bit of advice I can give you. Aerials, make them up. Pretty straightforward to make an aerial up. Something to get you on the air. If you want to get your license, get straight on the air, and you haven't got the aerial, just make one up. Long bit of wire. Or there's so many options out there that can be used to get you on the air. Ray, I don't think I'll be doing doing that contest. I've never operated that mode. I've never operated that mode yet. I don't think I've got any of the frequencies in for FT4. I'm not too sure. I don't know. But the other thing, if you like contests, there is a one out there, and it has been mentioned by somebody else as well. So I'm just going to mention it as well, if I can find it. Is it's a True Blue DXS Club contest. It is a continuous contest. It is on all year round. I'm just sort of pushing this one out there for you guys that like to do the contests. The True Blue DXS Club contest. You can go on there, register. You don't pay anything. I do hope some of you do take part. What else? If you want to go onto the site, if you want to know the site, it's just type in True Blue DX's Club in your search, or just type in Tango Bravo Delta X-ray Charlie.net. Just type that in and register. It's free to register, so I'm sort of promoting that side of it for some of you guys. I didn't realise the frequencies were in pre-installed on WSJTX area. I'll have a look. I think you've got Phil interested in that one as well. But yeah, setting up, I don't know whether I'll not go into it, but the 7300 and the software to operate this radio remote is easy, very, very easy to set up once you get your head around it. There is a couple of places where it may be quite technical, but once it's up and running, it's easy to operate. Getting everything set up is quite fun. Anyway, what time's that contest, Ray? 12:30 till 2 on the HF contest page. I'll have a look, see what happens. I'm not sure what I'm not sure what Lauren's got planned, so we'll see what happens. If I can get onto the contest, I will try it. I might have to try FT4 for a change. See what that's like. See if I enjoy it. But we all enjoy different parts of the hobby. So anyway, I'm going to disappear. Take it easy, guys. It's been a different stream. Been chatting for an hour, longer than I normally chat, actually, as you guys very well know. But once I start chatting, I don't know, just sort of enjoy it. Just enjoy bringing something different to you guys, as opposed to getting on the air shouting CQ. So I bet it's yeah, I've heard it is quicker than FT8 there. So enjoy the day, enjoy the activities on the bands, and take it easy. 7-3 from Golf 6 Mike November Delta, off and clear, and you've just seen Lauren in the background handing me some paperwork for the Ben. Poor Ben. Anyway, watch what you're all doing. 7-3 from me, Golf 6 Mike November Delta, Northeast UK. 7-3. Take it easy.